And here I go.
All
right, so
Take his.
they can't see, so I've got to put this back.
So everyone should be able to see my screen, which is there you go, which is the website for the Ontario Landowners Association. Okay, so ontariolandowners.ca is where you'll find all the information about us on the website. And I encourage you to take note of that. And if whether you're a property owner or not, the objective and purpose of the Ontario Landowners, how it got created, was to starting to challenge environmentally designated land on properties. And the landowners basically came and addressed that and tried to confront that. You'll know, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name. He's he was the MP that got kicked out of the Ontario Party, the Ontario Conservative Party there. He's out in Lanyard. What's his name?
Randy Hilliard.
Randy Hilliard, yes, of course. Very outspoken. He actually is a co-founder of the Ontario Landowners Association, and that's where his experience all came from, and his activism came from, and it got him engaged in politics as well. So we basically have been asked throughout Canada at various provincial Supreme Courts, as well as the Canadian Supreme Court, to present on behalf of claimants or behalf of case, to be an intervener and to speak about property rights. So even though we're an Ontario-based association, we've been asked to plead cases in Newfoundland, New Brunswick, and in Ottawa with the Canadian Supreme Court, as well as other jurisdictions, I'm sure. But it's a great organization, all volunteers, nobody's paid. And the idea here is we have chapters. And what we have here in terms of chapters, and you'll see the list here, these are our executive, which are across the province. But you'll find that we have a Muskoka Parry Sound, and you have Jerry Adley here, who is the president. However, he lives here in North Simcoe. And North Simcoe is, where should be all in all, maybe it's Simcoe North, that's what it is. Jerry Adley is also here in Simcoe North, which is based out of Midland. So our goal, since Jerry is president of both, I'm Jerry Auger, I'm kind of the vice president for both regions. I'm just initiating the push here to help you all in Parry Sound, Muskoka, create your own executive and create a broadening of engagement in the Muskoka Parry Sound District to be able to take on your own efforts and your own membership and your own activism in terms of whatever is needed up there. So we want to help you guys do that. We'd like to take the next... We figured the winter months would make it difficult, and lo and behold, tonight's proof that it does. So our goal was by the spring, sometime in June, help you guys organize a pig roast up in your neck of the woods. Pick a spot someplace that can host it, and gather a bunch of people to come and support you and get the word out in your communities. And then come the fall or late August, invite you down to our pig roast, and by that time, hopefully you'll have gotten to know your people enough that you will have voted for an executive that you feel confident can lead your organization to just take on activity and support landowners in the region. So that's where my involvement comes in, and I've gotten to meet Parry and Christine and Christy and their phenomenal leaders in their own right with the Muskoka CFT, the Canadians for Truth. So whether or not they choose to be involved as on the executive of the Ontario landowners will be up to them. But I am a believer that everyone can lead. Okay? Anyone can do it. And we just have to put the proper people around you to support you and to encourage you and to help you facilitate whatever needs to be done. So you'll find on the OntarioLandowners.ca, everything's done by there is donations, and you can join, again, whether or not you're a property owner, you're able to join. An annual membership fee is $60, and that $60 is a portion that goes to the administration for the head office, but most of that money comes and is able to be spent in your budget for your chapter in your district. And that's the money that we'll look at using for to fund your pig roast, and to hopefully that event will also raise funds and increase membership as well. Great time to get to know people, great time to get to have conversations around what is happening in your neighborhood, in your municipality. And I know that tonight you're talking, Isabel is a PPC national candidate for Ottawa for the federal level. But we find that many issues with the Ontario Landowners Association are really being challenged at the municipal level. Are there legislation that are provincial issues and federal issues? Of course there are, and that's why we've been in court. But it all starts at the municipal level. So there'll be an opportunity for you to really engage at the municipal level in being aware of what is happening, and be able to take care of this. So you can do your membership online. You simply go to OntarioLandowners.ca, go to the Join Us, and then you pay through PayPal, which is actually going to be a credit card, and you're all set. You put your chapter as being Muskoka, Parry Sound. There you go, and then you add your card, and they'll ask you for your name and so on and so forth. So that is a summary of what's there in terms of resources, property rights. We have stories about where people have taken their cases, and the impact on families. There are things that have happened that, that you just wonder, how did this happen? And one of the examples I like using when it comes to environmental protection is, let's use this example. Let's say I had 100 acres of property, and I had an opportunity to harvest the good hardwood trees on the property. And they were going to give me, I don't know what trees go for, but let's say they gave me $100,000 for it. And all of a sudden, someone, environmentalist or whatever, comes along and says, but you have these endangered species of birds or beetles that nest in your trees, and therefore you can't cut your trees down because you got to protect these animals or these insects or these birds or whatever. And my thought is, well, okay, that may be so. If you want to make me a one who's going to preserve that, then the cost of that, there's a cost to that, right? It's going to cost me $100,000 to not harvest my trees. Therefore, those birds are worth $100,000. My comment as a landowner, I'm just saying, why wouldn't the government agency then, if it's important to protect that species, then why don't you pay me $10,000 a year for the next 10 years and now make me an advocate to be able to get this endangered species off the endangered species list, then I can harvest my trees. That's kind of the compromise that we want to be able to help people understand two sides of the story. It's not about saying no to environmentalism or being environmentally responsible. We all are responsible citizens, but it's also being reasonable and being fair and being truly considerate of the options that we can look at. We shouldn't be mandating or imposing things on people. And that's one thing I think that came out of the whole COVID crisis. A lot of people have been challenged with is government is able to inform and advise because they can afford to do whatever research is necessary, but they should never be forced. They should never be allowed to mandate and force their citizenry to do anything. So that's a little bit of a summary. I didn't want to take too much time. I took probably about 10 minutes, which is kind of what our intent was, I believe. Parry, if there are any general questions that people would like to ask, I'm open to take any questions.
I want to write it.
I don't know.
I see some.
You see some
questions.
stuff there. We're going to try and get it done. We're.
Oh, in the chat, there's some questions?
We think so.
Well, there's definitely comments.
Can I read
We
it?
just,
Oh,
There's an expropriation. Okay. So I just fought an expropriation here where I live. And who is this? Randy?
No, Randy was.
Oh,
meant
Jeff.
to be-
So Jeff,
Randy
you were
Hiller.
saying this. Okay, talk to us about your situation.
Okay, well, I had one expropriation on the 407 highway. So I moved to where I am. And last June, my neighbor sold his place and it didn't close on the sale date. Because the Ministry of Transportation had an encumbrance on it. So it didn't close.
Wow.
So they had to buy the property. It was a full purple dot. That's a full expropriation. So I
Okay.
got thinking, holy cow, maybe they're looking at me too. I checked the title and sure enough, I've got an expropriation here.
Where you
So I
live
got
now?
really good at this because I did it once before. And I had a Zoom meeting with the head engineer and Jennifer Mollison from the MTO. And to my surprise, you can't be expropriated in Ontario twice in your life.
Interesting.
So I'm having it removed. It is
for you.
removed.
Okay.
So, and I'm planning on selling next year. I'm selling everything, my business. I've had it.
Yeah.
Well,
Now, are you a member of the OLA, of the Ontario Landowners Association, Jeff?
yes, and I'm a friend of Bert Weary's. I don't know if you remember him.
So did you
Yeah.
find help and support and information from the Ontario landowners that helped you with your case?
Not that specific one, but in the past,
Yeah.
I've used their information, and I'm, as you said, I'm currently a member.
Okay. Don't be afraid to go and use the information on the site. And
Yeah, well, right now with Maple Lake, I'm hoping those people win that challenge they have with the municipality up there.
yeah,
That's going to be a big breakthrough. We have to go after these people. I mean, it's implemented at the municipal level,
it is.
and they're going after us for land grabs. And if you follow Agenda 2030 or 21, you'll see that the end goal is that private property cannot be owned by an individual.
That is the thing, and that's actually referred to also in C293 that we'll probably talk about. Isabel will probably help us out with that too. There are legislations that are federal, yes, but it is being implemented at the municipal level. So the reality is there's never been more true. A moral people, only a moral people deserve a moral government, right? You deserve freedom. So you got to be engaged. You can't just trust your freedom to another person. You always got to be able to be there to support them, to hold them accountable, because of even the fact that you don't know what you don't know and they don't know what they don't know. And they might be doing something that's not the best option to pursue, but in a vacuum of no options, does it really matter, So that's where you want to have people around your leadership, whether they're at the municipal level, the provincial level, or the federal level. Want to be able to have the leaders know, the voted representatives know, that they have people there not only to hold them to account, but to support their good decisions, and to encourage them. It's not just about tearing people down and yelling at them, but it's also just being there to really encourage them to do the right thing and to remind them of that. Great. Thank you very much, Jeff. Any other thoughts or questions?
That's
Just
all we
go
have.
ahead and unmute yourself and ask away. Or if we have someone in the audience there on the live feed, I can't see there, but
Yeah, no, Peter Christensen's asking, and I think the answer is yes. Are you saying they are falsely using the environmental concerns to block people from utilizing people's land? I think the answer to that is
yeah, I think the point to say is, again, this idea of accusing someone of doing something falsely or misrepresenting. In law, it's a claim. Everything's a claim. So if I claim something and you don't rebut it, my claim is deemed to be valid. There's no problem. Am I right to do that? Well, that's a moral question. Who's asking? Who cares? Nobody seemed to care about my claim. So why prevent me from exercising my claim? That's a freedom thing. The thing to realize about freedom is my freedom stops when yours starts. And yours only starts when you declare your freedom starts here. And I can push, but if you let me go, then who's doing wrong? Am I doing wrong by pushing, or are you doing wrong by letting me push? And it's not that it's wrong, it's the idea of someone needs to stand up and be able to say no, or if it's okay, then it's okay. And that's the struggle of freedom. My rights start when yours stop.
Can I
Or vice
comment
versa.
on that? Can I comment on that?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so what we're finding here in these, we're dealing with a corporation. I'm sure everybody knows that at this point. And in this particular municipality where I live, our city solicitor lives in Antigua. And
In
they're
Antigua. Hold on. Antigua is an island in the Caribbean, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's some significant reasons why that is. Three that come to mind. One is you could be the sole person in a corporation there. You can set it up in one day and you don't have to file. There's a lot of fraud here. We found $111 million missing off our budget. I'm a numbers guy, so I really pushed that. And they didn't like it. The mayor hates me. He's a global mayor. I got his sworn affidavit. I've got his oath. I've got all 8 councillors and the mayor's oath here in the city of Kawartha Lake. They're sworn to the globalists, the UN agenda, not a public oath. It's evil in every way. So once I started pushing out the finances, then all of a sudden I get 2 police investigations. You can't make this up. Okay? I'm not done. I came clean because that's the way I live. And there's so much fraud that last Tuesday they passed the death of this municipality, and I was the only one there. They passed that climate agenda. I got it here behind me in a file. And it was signed by the mayor and chief of economic developments. But the CAO always pushes it down. That's where it comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll come from the staff often.
And senior staff, yes.
Yeah. Now, one
So
thing I will
anyways-
mention, I'll interrupt you a little bit there, Jeff. One thing I will mention is the OLA. You guys are all familiar with Maggie Braun. Are you? So the OLA very much is engaged with Maggie Braun in supporting her in bringing this message to make our environmental initiatives locally generated, not globally generated, which is what Jeff's talking about here. The global agenda of 2030, 2021, all of these things are being implemented, and there's an objective, and you see it again coming through the legislation like C-293 and others. So what Jeff's talking about here is the fact that there is an oath now to a corporation of your municipality as opposed to an oath to the residents of your municipality. And that is a challenge with a lot of the corporations right now. In theory, they're supposed to do the same thing. However, it is in fact, what I've seen is a lot of this is happening across the board. We're seeing it in Pickering. We're seeing it in municipalities all over the place where we don't listen to the people. We don't have to listen to the people. We just get to do what we want to do. And that's going to be a challenge. So our goal, my role here with the OLA is to engage our members in responsible activism, not necessarily just to protest and wave and complain and yell and call fraud or call treason. But even though that may be in fact be the case, we also need to be responsible for how we are heard and listened to. So that's an important thing for us to remember. Is you'll see, OLA is not one of those organizations that'll say you don't have to pay taxes. The whole sovereignty thing is one thing that you won't get from the OLA. You pay your taxes for the services that are provided in your thing, but that's all you should pay for. You shouldn't pay just because they say it's a fee that you should pay for it. It's got to have a reason behind it, and you got to be responsible. And being responsible means you push back sometimes and you challenge.